All right, film geeks, today we're talking about 1001, the feature film debut from A.V. Rockwell. Let's talk about it. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of All Right, Let's Talk About It. My name is Savannah. I am your host. I do film reviews and film industry commentary. Y'all, it's April. So today's Monday, April 3rd. We're already 4 months into 2023. It's insane. I feel like we haven't had much time to breathe. But spring is already here. Easter is right around the corner. But the good news is, we are out of the dump months. We're out of the dump months. For those of you who do not know, dump months, that's what a lot of cinephiles, film aficionados call like the first 3 months. And there's like another set of 3 months also in the year. But the first 3 months of the year, January, February, March, are your dump months. These are typically going to be your somewhere between your mediocre to worst films of the year, which it really hasn't been that. These have been some really good films. So 2023, I feel like is off to a very good start, but we are out of your typical, mid to terrible, and we're getting into some of the good stuff. Well, we are doing one last March movie until we get on into April. We're talking about 1001. I saw this Friday afternoon, right after I recorded the review for whatever movie that was. I don't even remember at this point. What was it? Now it's going to bug me. Oh, who cares? Anyways, Dungeons and Dragons. There we go. So, Dungeons and Dragons I enjoyed, and then I watched 1001 the next day. So, this is different. This is more on the drama side of things, and it's a feature film debut for this director, A.V. Rockwell. She did two previous short films. I think she's worked a little bit in television as well, but this is her first feature film debut where she is both the writer and director. No producing credits that I can find, but writer and director. And it's an interesting one. So this is 1001, stars Tiana Taylor, Josiah Cross, and William Catlett. This is a story of a mother and son. So Tiana Taylor plays Inez. Inez, we meet her and she is getting out of Rikers and going back into normal life, staying at a shelter. She is a beautician by trade. She does hair. That's her passion. It's what she enjoys doing. And she's trying to get back into the swing of doing things. And while she's, reconnecting with where she lives and all the people there and old clients, she sees a little boy and recognizes that to be her son, Terry. And she tries her hardest to try and reconnect with him. And clearly, she's been gone for a very long time. And he's feeling a certain kind of way. He's very distant. But she's trying. She's trying to get back on her feet. She's trying to reconnect with her son. He's in foster care. He ends up getting hurt, and she visits him several times in the hospital while he's recovering. And she's at a loss. She's trying to do her absolute best. She's trying to be the mother that he deserves. She's trying to get back on her feet. She's trying to make a way. And she's not interested in waiting for the courts to help her figure that out. She decides, you know what? I'm just going to take him. So she takes him. She takes him out of the hospital, and they go from Brooklyn to Harlem, where she's from, and they start to figure out how to build a life together. They end up staying at a friend's house, and then they end up renting a room until they finally get their own place. This movie really is about the bond between a mother and son. This movie is about second chances. It's about perseverance. It's about systemic inequality. You have a bit of a social commentary here where we're talking about a little bit touching on some of the issues with the foster care system, social services, but not too much. It's not heavy, thick. We really don't get to see much of her interaction with social services. There is no interaction with social services other than, her interacting with her son while he's in foster care, and then her kidnapping him, essentially, and taking him to another borough of New York City. But we do get to see a bit of gentrification in this movie. And this is probably the best kind of depiction I've seen of gentrification in any movie that I've seen in a while. Now, I'm sure you can probably think of some better movies, but I'm just talking about what I've seen. A lot of times we only see gentrification in movies until after it happens or it's some kind of comedic relief. I think of something like, Barbershop, where, you have your local, establishment in Chicago, the barbershop, and now they have to compete with this big business kind of deal, comedic relief kind of deal. But we really see how gentrification and some of the sleazy tactics by real estate and landlords and how that can affect the everyday people. It's done very well here. Social commentaries can be very tricky, especially in drama. I think horror does it the best. I think horror does the best when it comes to social commentaries. But this film, I felt, does a great job of weaving it into the plot and making it kind of almost part of the story. This things where things just inevitably change. And in spite of that inevitable change, you have to hold on to what's real and what's true and what's honest. And what seems to be real, true, and honest is the relationship between Inez and her son Terry, or so we think. We think we're in on the secret. We think we're in on this lie that they've been living, because technically he's a missing child. She has to do all the things she does for her missing child, get phony papers so she can get him into school, change his name, all that jazz. And we think we're in on it, but apparently there's so much more to the story than what we've been told. And I'm not going to spoil it for you. I think I've said a little too much already, but I mean, nothing I don't think you can figure out from the trailer. But how is this? This debut from AV Rockwell. So, I mean, this is all I have to go on for her. I've never heard of her before. And I didn't really know that this was her debut until just a few minutes ago when I was, just brushing up on some casting facts for this. Congratulations to her. What an incredible debut. She's getting incredible reviews, and I'm gonna be real here. I think I'm gonna be in the minority for those of you who have seen it or are going to see it. You may or may not agree with me here. Is the movie terrible? Absolutely not. So don't think that's what I'm going to say. No, 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 no. I think this was a beautiful picture. This was an absolutely beautiful portrait of motherhood and the sacrifices one makes, and of love and perseverance and just wanting better and wanting more. But I think it's interesting, this movie, because like I said, we think we're in on the big secret, but we're not. And this big secret kind of hangs over the movie like a cloud in a way, but not in the way I think she could have. It's but she tries to hang it like a cloud, almost like, kind of an overcast kind of feel. But for me, it didn't feel overcast. Like there's just something else kind of inching just around the corner, but it kind of sucked some of the meat out of the movie because there was more to what was there and we just weren't privy to it. Now, once we get to the end and we learn a little bit more, once we get to the big secret, to me there was just no, I wasn't like, "Oh my gosh," even though it's a big deal. This movie to me, while it is beautifully done, beautifully shot, is that's the one word I can use to describe it over and over again, is just beautiful. At times to me just felt very dry. It felt like it was just missing something. There was just something that just wasn't quite there. It was missing a little bit of glue. But it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's a work of art, honestly. It's a true character piece. And I think if you've been with me for a while, I love a good character piece where we're really just following this one individual. And that's it. That everything is about Inez. Everything really is from her perspective, minus the fact that there's something that she's not telling us, the audience. And I think maybe that's where a little bit of my frustration came from, because I felt like there was something that we were supposed to know and didn't. And maybe that's just genius on AV Rockwell's part. I don't know. But it just at times felt a little dry to me, like it was just kind of missing something. And it fell short of being a complete 9 out of 10, and was, unfortunately for me, just a little bit of an 8 out of 10, which, I mean, I know it's sad to say unfortunate because 8 out of 10 is relatively high, but, uh, this movie should have been an easy 9 or 10 out of 10, but 8 is just too low for what this should have been. I don't even know if I'm making sense. I'm trying to make it make sense. I'm trying to basically say this is such a beautifully put together film, but it was just a little bit dry. And not in the Oscar baity kind of dry where there's a little less than enough meat on the bones, but there's still enough to give us what we need to sustain us. How some good films can be just a little bit dry. This wasn't even that. Ugh. It just, we start very heavy and very loud and very powerful and emotional, and then there's this suction almost out of the story where the life is just gone, which makes sense in a way because as Inez starts, she's very rough and she's aggressive and she's emotional, she's unlearning some bad habits and bad behaviors, and then we get into kind of the second half, the third act, if you will, and that's where she kind of tampers down. She calms down. She's not so heavy. She's not so aggressive. She's not picking fights the way she used to. And her son, as he gets older, points that out. Like, why didn't you call him out on that? Something to that effect, talking about the landlord. And I guess, the shift in mood fits Inez because we start off with woo, and then we go, But the shift in mood, I caught that, but I still felt like the life was gone. There was just something just gone, and I couldn't get past that part, unfortunately, and it makes me a little sad. However, now, in spite of how I feel, now I'm not telling you to not go see it. I would never, ever, ever tell you to not go see a movie. I think this is totally worth the watch. Go buy a ticket, support this young director because there's so much. She has an incredible career ahead of her. I look forward to seeing what she does in the future. Tiana Taylor, who plays Inez, I don't think this is premature to say. I know we are only in the month of April and this movie came out on the 31st. So, yes, it is early in the year, but I do not think it is premature for us to start creating a short list for the 2024 Oscars. Now, the rules are changing a bit starting in 2024 for the Oscars in order to be considered, a Best Picture nominee, you have to follow certain diversity rules, meaning your film, your cast, or your crew has to look a certain way, or the employees within said studio have to look a certain way or be a certain way in order to qualify for Best Picture, which sucks. I hate that. I hate that the Academy feels like the only way for Black films to be competitive, you have to make exceptions or make it so that they have no choice but to fit, the soft bigotry of low expectations, if you will. I hate that. I don't think it helps Black directors, Black actors, but Black filmmakers at all by making it harder for white films, quote unquote, to compete. But I don't think this film is I think it's potential. I think there's potential for this to be on a Best Picture shortlist. I think it's too soon to say that. However, Tiana Taylor, I think it's smart to say now. I- This is an Oscar caliber performance. In spite of the life being sucked out of the film, at least that's how it was for me. She gave everything. She was so beautiful in this. She was so beautiful and she was just effervescent. She was transcendent. She was just an incredible performer. Almost there was an artistic nature to it, the way she kind of shifted with the mood and she carried, right? So this is a character piece, right? We're following her. We don't go anywhere she doesn't go. We follow her son a little bit, but everything this is all about her. This is all about her and her struggle and how all these changes around her are affecting her because as the walls close in on her, that's where the pressure is. That's where the shift starts to happen because we start aggressive and then it mellows and then we get a little bit aggressive again because she's feeling the stress and she's feeling the pressure and we're supposed to feel that as well. But unfortunately, this movie kind of lacked a narrative core, if you will. It's almost like we're just following people through time. The narrative core just was not there for me, and I think that's why I keep saying this felt dry. I was missing the kind of the weaving of the story. But Tiana Taylor, I assume, is probably going to be on many short lists for Best Actress, and she deserves it because she gave an incredible performance, worthy of note, just beautiful. But unfortunately, I think this might suffer a similar fate to the movie Till. And there were some things I just noticed, some similarities in terms of acting. Because Danielle Deadwyler, because everyone was all mad and up in arms because Danielle Deadwyler did not get a nomination for Best Actress. Um, I think one of the things that hurt her was the supporting cast because Danielle Deadwyler was the only one that gave any kind of a decent performance in that movie. Everyone else was just terrible, mediocre at best. Even the young man who played Emmett Till, he just wasn't that good. He was just very one dimensional. And that was on the director and the writer for that film for putting so much focus and so much effort in Danielle and not balancing it out with the rest of the cast. Now, I compare that to a movie like Tar with Cate Blanchett, who gave an incredible performance in my mind, and I will still stand on this, the performance of the year for Best Actress. No hate to Michelle Yeoh. Congratulations to her, but Cate Blanchett is still my girl for 2023. You know, the only way that movie worked was the acting. The acting had to be outstanding and over the top and amazing, and not just from Cate Blanchett, but from the supporting cast as well, because it's the supporting cast that helps to tell the story. That was missing from Till. The acting from the supporting cast was just lackluster, and I felt the same way here as well. I felt like the acting from our supporting cast members, from Josiah Cross, who's only in the movie for a little bit. He plays a 17-year-old version of her son. And then William Catlett, who plays her significant other, Lucky. I just felt like their performances were just cheeky. They weren't well rounded. They weren't fleshed out well for me. Um, Everything was all about Inez and all about Tiana Taylor's character. That so much, I feel like the director put a lot of focus on making sure that she brought the best out of Tiana, that everyone else just kind of fell by the wayside. So I think that could hurt her if there's any potential in this for her in terms of an Oscar run. But she gives a performance worthy of a nomination. I will give her that, and props to her because damn, woman, you did the dang thing. And also props to A.V. Rockwell. This is her first feature film debut. I imagine there's more to come from her, um, as there should be. But I don't know. This movie didn't quite do it for me. I think if it wasn't so beautiful, it would have just been like maybe a 5 out of 10, but it's just so, God, it was stunning. It's just a beautiful moving portrait of a film. It just lacked a narrative core. That was my big issue. And that's all I can really say about it, to be honest with you. Yeah, I know that's a little bit shorter than normal, but hey, sometimes you just got to get to the point. And that was it. So that was 1001, written and directed by A.V. Rockwell in her feature film directorial debut. Stars Tiana Taylor, who gives a nomination-worthy performance. It's a beautiful, stunning, moving portrait about a mother and her son, about the power of motherhood. It was just lacking a narrative core for me and left it a little bit dry. But that's it. That's it. Other than that, beautiful, absolutely stunning, totally worth the ticket. Go see it. By all means, take a moment to support someone who is just stepping into the arena. I think she deserves it. This was beautifully done. So, what's coming up? Y'all, it's a crazy week. So you're getting this episode, and then Friday at noon, you're getting Air. I'll be seeing that on Wednesday. I'm actually really happy about seeing it on Wednesday. That means I can kind of take my time with it. on Thursday. And then Thursday, I'm actually going to go see Super Mario Brothers. So you'll also get that episode on Friday. Probably like I'll do Friday at 3. We'll see how I feel about it. So yeah, it's a solidly thick week of episodes for y'all. This will be just kind of like a little mini bonus. But I am really excited about seeing Air on Wednesday. I love Ben Affleck as a director. I'm really looking forward to it. I expect good things. It's going to be an interesting story. I don't care about shoes, but hey, it's Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Viola Davis. I can't ask for anything more. I mean, I feel like to ask for anything more would just be ungrateful. So I'm just going to be happy about it. And then Super Mario Brothers should be interesting. I don't understand why that exists, but there it is. And then next week is the one I'm looking forward to, y'all. Next week is the episode I cannot wait. That one's going to be a lengthy one because there's so much to talk about. Beautiful Disaster, the Jamie Maguire adaptation. I'm seeing that next Thursday. Ooh, I can't wait. There's so many things I want to say. There's so much I want to talk about surrounding this movie, this genre, I mean, so much hinges on this movie being profitable and also on it being any kind of decent. I mean, how Book Talk, I should say, responds to this movie, how the audience responds. So much hinges on the emergence of this genre going from literature to film. It really depends on this movie, and I'm ready for it. I can't wait to talk about it. So that'll be next Friday, not this one, but the next Friday, and I'm really, really, really excited. So, wait, is that next Friday? Do I have my days mixed up? Who knows? Whatever day the 13th is, I think it's a Thursday, something like that. You know I can't count. Anyways, y'all, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're amazing. And I hope you have an amazing week. Want to advertise on this podcast? Check the episode description to see how you can be featured on the next episode.